Church, when it comes to Lindsey, mama can dish it, but she sure can't take it. And Michael, please, please, please remove Will and Jada from your couples goals list, because them two right there are problematic at best and toxic as hell at worst. I got my notes. I hope y'all got yours. Let's get on into this damn mess. All right, y'all, before we get started, let me let y'all know I am not drinking. These couples have not driven me to drink like Lindsey, y'all. This is water and ice cubes in a wine glass because I'm classy based, okay? And I'm trying to be special for y'all. But no, in all actuality, y'all, I'm sitting up in here dying like Parliament and Funkadelic. Fire! Or whoever sang that damn song, baby. It's 85 degrees outside, and my apartment complex does not turn on the air conditioner until May 1st. So what I'm going to need y'all to do is like and subscribe to this channel, baby, so that I can move into an apartment in the sky with round the year AC, okay? And never let anybody tell you that I didn't suffer from my crap, honey, because I am suffering from damn near heat stroke in here, trying to stay cool while also giving y'all my review of this episode. So let's jump on into it. So our couples are in Vermont for their couples trip, and y'all, all I knew about Vermont was what I learned on Scandal. Y'all remember how Olivia and Fitz would always be talking about Vermont, and it would just be like mooses, grass, open space, and log cabins? Well, to me, that's pretty much what we saw in this damn episode, from the damn house to all the nature-based trips that the couples took. So, listen, I guess Scandal was really right in terms of the picturesque nature of Vermont and the taking you away from the hustle and bustle of the city. So, I've never been to Vermont. So, Vermont people, drop down in the comments and let me know if that's an accurate depiction of what goes on in Vermont, or if there's actual cityscapes in addition to all the rural type of, landscape based activities. So we'll see. But let's jump right on into our hot topics. So first off, y'all, I only got two. Let's talk about Noi not discussing the social media with group. Now listen, I think Steve made an excellent point when he told the group, when they were sitting down at the table, that, I'm going to respect that Noi doesn't want to talk about this right now, but I do find it interesting that she feels comfortable getting on the internet and telling the world about, these feelings that she has. But when it comes down to sit with the other couples who are all dispersing information about how their relationships are going, she's on mute and she feels guarded and she doesn't want to talk about it, okay? To me, that just screams the cognitive dissonance of the situation. Like, how is it easier for you to tell the world the problems versus just saying it in this little group format here? That doesn't really sit right with me, and that doesn't make sense. And furthermore, it kind of leads to the notion of the whole, keyboard gangsterism as far as the social media is concerned, y'all. And keyboard gangster is a word that I've always, or a phrase that I've always said for the social media people who get online and go under comments and they basically tear somebody a new one from A to Zimbabwe, but they wouldn't say these same things to people's faces, right? Like, keep the same energy that you had online when you see these people in real life, So it's the keyboard gangsterism mentality, right? And to me, that's what Noi kind of personifies. Now, listen, it is her right to not want to discuss the stuff down at the table in front of the other couples. I will be the first one to always say I don't like people's private business being displayed in a public manner for, everybody else's consumptions, opinions, and thoughts on it. But to me, when you're in a safe space with the other couples and everyone else is telling the information about their lives, to me, it was a safe space for you to get into it. Mind you, it probably would have opened you up for discussion. But listen, how much more discussion could you get from you already dispersing it on down to social media? The problem that I have with Noi and this damn thing is that she's trying to kind of Jedi mind trick Steve into thinking that he's like, going against her First Amendment right for freedom of speech. Like, this is not what we're doing. If your social media was predicated on Noi's quote of the day, that man would not have any problem with you displaying all these damn quotes. The problem is that your social media is indicative of your personal life. So when you put these quotes out there soon after you have issues with Steve, it can only lead one to believe that the quote is about him, and in all reality and in all actuality, it actually is. So that's the damn problem with that. Now on to the second hot topic. Let's talk about Lindsey focusing on Mark and all her damn communications. Something that really pissed me off this episode, y'all, is that Lindsey, every single time, even when they first got to the cabin or whatever, they were asking each other, how's your relationship going? How's it all going? What's going on with you and your spouse and stuff? And the first thing out of Lindsey's mouth is, Mark going through all this stuff. Mark got all this stress, struggles, and strife in his life, and I'm trying to help him with it. But, it might be too much for me to deal with. I didn't sign up to be his mother. Wait. Like, if we gonna keep it 100, we have to keep it all the way 100. Did you not say when you got into this man's life that I want you to put your burdens on me? I want you to lean on me. I want you to know that I always got you and I'm always in your corner. So if you purported yourself to be Madame Save a Hoe, then you cannot up and run when the damn times get tough. Like, that to me does not make sense, and that to me is disingenuous. And furthermore, Lindsey, why is it always so easy for you to talk about Mark's faults and what Mark's doing and what's going on? I used to think that it was some sort of deflection, right? In terms of, that you have issues too, so you don't want to get into them, so it's easier to talk about Mark. But in all actuality, the more and more I think about it, I really feel that you lack introspective abilities, right? So you can't deflect away from yourself if you don't even know, or you don't even recognize, or you don't even accept that you have a damn problem. So because in your mind you are Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, the problem has to be with Mark. So every time somebody asks you about your relationship, Mark is the first thing that comes out your damn mouth. So I want y'all to pay attention to that, because that's kind of phrases, or frames rather, how this episode went between Lindsey and Mark, and also their interactions with all the other couples. So good hot topics. Now, moving on to our general couple updates, since we're already talking about Lindsey and Mark, let's continue. So while they down in Vermont with the mooses and the open spaces and the log cabins, everybody did an event, right? So Lindsey and Mark's event is they basically did a sound bath, which is basically when you invite somebody over with a whole bunch of, I'm not trying to demean it, y'all, I just don't understand it, but you invite them with a whole bunch of sound machines to your backyard or wherever, and they make sounds, and it's supposed to align with certain chakras that you have in your head or in your mind or in your body, and make you have open thoughts and think and get to a higher plane of thinking. I hope I did not offend the sound bath community. That was not my intention. I am just trying to report this as I've seen it and as I understand it. So sound bath people, please drop down in the comments and let people know if I have bastardized what you do. I am just repeating back the information, okay? I don't make the news, I just report it. So like I said, everybody has an activity. So before they have the sound bath activity, Lindsey and Mark got into a little scuffle, or a little argument rather, where Lindsey claims that Mark is always throwing jabs at her. And it really launched off when Mark said something to the effect of, it's good that we're doing this sound bath today because it's a way for, you to be essentially quiet. He was saying, like, she's very hyper, so this would be a way for her to be quiet and, calm down and get into herself, right? So she took that as a jab against her. My whole issue in this scenario is that as much as Lindsey claims that he throws jabs at her, I don't think they're actual jabs. I think you're projecting, and I think you're interpreting based on your prior activities or prior relationships, right? Just because in prior relationships with your parents or with, other people's significant others, they have tried to diminish your light. They have tried to use your personality against you to, you mentioned something about him being jealous of the way you are. And I don't think in any stretch of the imagination that he's jealous or he's trying to diminish your light in any way. So I really feel that that was kind of projection from your past, relationships or past interactions. And it's kind of saying, because I feel the same way that I did in those situations, you have to be doing the same thing. But I think, we're comparing apples and oranges and we're conflating issues. Just because you feel a certain way does not mean that that's indicative of someone treating you in the same manner that someone did in the past, okay? I don't think he's throwing jabs with you. I just think that y'all have two different love languages. Yours seems to be predicated on physical touch and quality time, and his, I wouldn't say it's the opposite of it, but he doesn't really need you touching him all the time. And he kind of needs a little bit of distance to figure out how he feels about you before he goes back in with you. So I think it's just two different modes of a love language that keep combating against each other, and that's why y'all keep having problems. So I thought it was really unfair to say that he's consistently throwing jabs at you, because I really don't think that's the case. Moving forward from there, we'll go down to the let's move on down to the game blow up, when they all get together and they have the board. So they did a who's more likely game, and it's basically when the couples get together and they each have boards. Everybody in the couple has a board, and they say who's more likely to XYZ, and they all write down the name, and they go from there. So the game was going fine until a lot of the questions, or a lot of the answers rather, resulted in people choosing Lindsey, right? So he said, who's more likely to, I guess, lie about some sort of sexual situation? They all said Lindsey. Who's more likely to lose this game? Lindsey. Who's more likely to start a fight? Lindsey, okay? People can only give you what you give them back, okay? So to me, her blowing up at that damn who's more likely game was nothing but what we learned last episode about Lindsey, y'all. What we learned last episode is that Lindsey conflates the emotions of anger and sadness, okay? So when she's angry and she's lashing out, it's because she's sad and she feels that she can't change the situation, so she has to lash out as deep as she can. So what does she do in the situation? She gets sad because she can't change how these people are perceiving her, right? And to be completely honest, it's kind of a situation of your own creation if you think about it, right? Like I said before, people can only give you what you give them, okay? And what you have shown these people is that you fly off the handle, you say inappropriate sexual things, you're not a good loser in a sense of like you're not a gracious loser. You try to, lash back out at people. So they're giving you back what you've given them, okay? So the minute that you get sad that these people see you in that way, you immediately lash out. You start attacking everybody in terms of them not being as successful as you, you being sanctified and blessed and filled with the Holy Spirit. And furthermore on that, listen, I done had a conference with Jesus, and we tired of you bringing him into this mess, okay? Jesus ain't had nothing to do with you lashing out at these people. And baby, we had a conference and he was highly offended. And as his dutiful servant, I had to bring to you, Lindsey, that me and Jesus wasn't feeling it. So leave him out of the damn conversation. But you just came for the group. I don't give an F what all of y'all are thinking. F this, F y'all. It's conflating anger and sadness. You're sad because you can't change the way that the people view you in the group, so you lash out. So it's just a continuation of your prior trauma in this present situation, right? Now let's move on to Lindsey gets sick. Now when Lindsey got sick, y'all, the first thought that I had was, and I might go to hell for this. So, I know I'm Jesus, a dutiful servant, but I need to keep it 100 with y'all. The first thought that I had when Lindsey got sick, y'all, is that God don't like ugly. Okay. But then I had to look at myself, honey, and put the man in the mirror. And I said, listen, 2 wrongs don't make a right, and 3 rights make a left. So let me do the Christian thing. I was so sorry that Lindsey got sick, but however, if I'm going to keep it 100, let me keep it 100 with y'all. Was it me, or was when Lindsey got sick kind of reminiscent of when she started all the damn mess on the damn plane, and then she was basically secluded and sequestered in the damn hotel room on the balcony crying, couldn't go to no damn couples events, so overcome with emotion that she can't be around nobody else, and basically had Mark running interference around. It seemed kind of reminiscent of that to me. Like, you can't burn things down to the ground one day, and then the next day when you need to make good, when you need to make reconciliations, when you need to talk about it, you sick, you can't be involved, you got to go down to the urgent care, you need a vitamin B infusion, and he got to be taking care of you. Now, one thing I will say is, I'm glad Lindsey's okay, and I'm glad that she got the help she deserved. And furthermore, I'm glad that Mark could be there for her and kind of put his feelings aside for the moment in order to help the greater good, which was to help her get better out of this, illness that she conjured up out of this situation that she ended up in from whatever she may have ingested the prior day. I'm trying to keep this nice. But what I would tell Mark is to not lose sight of your feelings and the emotions that, she put you through to get to this point. And even though you're putting those things on the back burner in order to help her, make sure that you still have those damn conversations, because she would be happy to just scooch all these things up under the rug and not talk about them. A quickie apology on your way down to the urgent care does not negate you from all the consequences of all the stuff that you've done in the prior day. I'm so sorry, it does not work like that. And you can't consistently blow up on everybody and then we're all supposed to be okay the next day and move on. It does not work like that. All right, I think that's enough on Lindsey and Mark. So let's move on to Noi and Steve. So their event was like an amusement park-based thing, which was really fun. But what they really talked about was their ever-present social media issue. And I'm not going to get into it again, y'all. But what I will say is I'll reiterate something that I've said before in a prior video. If you bring a concern up to somebody and they fix it, keep that person around because they care. And if you bring a situation up to somebody and they do nothing about it, leave that person at the door. And I think what they're going to have to do is find some sort of middle ground where she doesn't feel like her First Amendment right for freedom of speech is being violated, and he doesn't feel that every time he has an argument with her, their business is put on Front Street through Noi's quote of the day down to her social media. Y'all gonna have to figure that out. Moving on to stay-at-home Noi, or the notion of stay-at-home Noi. I knew that when Noi was taking Steve through all them stress, struggles, and strife concerning his job and his finance and stuff, that something else was behind that. So during the Who's More Likely game, what we find out is who's more likely to be a stay-at-home spouse. And Noi picked herself because she would want to stay at home with her 3 children once, she has them and whatnot. So this is what I have to say about it. Keep it 100 from the get-go and we won't have any problems. Wanting to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom and a soccer mom and drive the obligatory minivan or the Lexus SUV, pick up your kids from school, be there when they get back, make them the snacks and be, the homemaker mom. There's nothing wrong with Noi wanting that. My problem is that she kind of phrased it in that Steve has a lack of ambition, a lack of goal in life. He doesn't have a full-time job. He can't provide. Well, listen, if you don't give him all the information with which he can make a decision, you're never going to get the result that you want. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with you wanting these things, but in actuality, there's nothing wrong with Steve wanting his free-spirited life as well. And if those two things are not aligned, then perhaps y'all are not a good match together, and that's okay, okay? I feel like all this stress, struggles, and strife that y'all are going through regarding finances is kind of like the universe telling you that you're not compatible, but because of the experiment and because, y'all want to go through the experience and try to figure out why you're a match and try to figure out if this can be a worthwhile match, you go through the motions of seeing if you can get past this issue. But to me, it's kind of fundamental. Couples break apart because of 2 main reasons: trust and finances. And it seems like even though, Steve said y'all have levels of trust, y'all don't really trust each other down to the cellular level. And as far as the finances, she over here, bothering you about having a full-time job when in actuality, she wants to stay at home with the damn kids and not work at all, okay? So it's a trust issue, it's a finance issue, it's a lack of communication issue. And I don't really know if this couple's going to last, y'all, because to me, if y'all can't even communicate on the basis of what you actually want, and I'm not putting this on Steve, because to me, he's been very forthright in his conversations. This to me is a Noi problem. And like I said in the last episode, telling Steve what you want will not result in him dissolving into a pillar of salt on the floor. He can take it, give people the information with which they can make an informed decision, and then go from there. Everyone is not for everybody, okay? And if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, say that. And if he wants to be a free spirit and work some of the year and not of the other year, that is fine for him too. Y'all just might not be a good match. And furthermore, what just leads credence to this whole situation is Noi in the car on the way home crying over her studio apartment. And y'all, she's not crying over her studio apartment. Yes, she loves the apartment. Yes, it represents, the first apartment that she had and something that she did for herself. But more than anything, it represents her independence, okay? Her independence, her ability to take care of herself. And the reason why she's crying in the car is because she does not feel comfortable giving up that independence and putting all her eggs in the Steve basket. As I told y'all before, Steve represents everything in that lady's life that she's run away from that does not make her feel safe and secure, okay? So giving up the apartment to move in with Steve is putting all her eggs in Steve's basket. And we have already seen that she's not comfortable with the basket that Steve has so far, okay? Like I said, Everyone is not for everybody. And if you have all those doubts in your chest, that's your inner voice telling you something, okay? This may not be the right match for y'all, and that's okay. And I think they're both starting to realize that as the weeks go on. Now on to Katina and Olajuwon, y'all. Just two notes on them. So their event was they went to an alpaca farm. So kudos to Katina for consistently trying to meet Olajuwon's random expectations. And, you know, every time he moves the finish line, she just, you know, finds a way to go back there. But listen, you got to keep trying. So I give her an A for effort in terms of continually trying where other people would have given up and moved the hell on. So she is a team player. She signed up for this experiment for the right reasons. And though she was matched with somebody who keeps trying to do Jedi mind tricks with her, she keeps showing up ready to battle and ready to try to figure out why they were matched and see if this can be a long-term match. Now, when they're down at the alpaca farm, let's get into O's delivery versus his message. One of the things I'm always going to have a problem with regarding Olajuwon is his delivery, okay? Sometimes, and they say this very, very often in life, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, okay? So let's break down the issue. Olajuwon basically says to Katina that he has spent his life, or, you know, the past few years or whatever, finishing up his education, getting a job, establishing himself in his career, paying off his student loans, and getting a house. Whereas she has taken the opposite approach, or, you know, I think he said something to the iteration of the backwards approach, where she took time off. And so what she's trying to do within the next 2 years is that, you know, she wants to have a baby, but she also wants to finish her education. So what he's saying is, I think something has got to give, right? You cannot try to finish your education in the next 2 years if the goal is also to have the baby in the next 2 years. Like, those things are not really compatible. And what Katina is saying is that, you know, I come from a long line of people who've made it work, women who've made it work, who've risen to the occasion, they can do it, right? Like, if you put a challenge in front of me, I'm going to try to do it. Olajuwon is more practical in the sense of, if you're trying to finish up your education, you can't basically put your full focus into mothering, and vice versa. If you're trying to be a full-time mother and a good mother, you can't really put your full focus into the education, and somebody's going to have to pick up the slack, and it's not going to be me. That's essentially what I got from his conversation. Y'all drop down in the comments and let me know if y'all got something different. Now listen, the message is based in practicality and a realist mentality, right? But as we all know, women, if they put their minds to something, they can do whatever the hell they want. Now, Olajuwon's issue is that he has such a non-moving militaristic mentality. It's like, it's his way or the highway. His views are the highway. Like it's like his word is law in a sense. And that doesn't really sit well with Katina, okay? And because he can't see any sort of situation where you can be a good mother and a good student and get it all done, he's basically trying to change her worldview and try to tell her that maybe the baby is not the best thing for right now. You should focus on your education. Is it a worthwhile message? At its essence, yes. It's basically kind of saying that whole Michelle Obama thing, in that you can have it all, but not at the same time, right? So if he had phrased it in a sense of, I want you to finish your education first and then let's talk about kids, I think the message would have gone over better. But because it was kind of like a my way or the highway mentality, it did not sit well with Katina. She did try to put up some sort of protest, but she kind of let him win out in the situation, as she always does. And let's keep it all the way 100, y'all. When Olajuwon is sitting there saying, you know, I see possibilities in you, I'm not trying to attack you, I say these things because I want to expand your horizons. Listen, Olajuwon, you need to keep it real with yourself. The reason why you keep doing all these things to Katina is because, number one, she allows you to, and number two, you think that she's malleable enough to like mold into this vision that you have for her, okay? And she has not realized at this point that she is the one that defines herself, and no one should be responsible for molding her, okay? So once she wakes up from whatever trance or Stockholm syndrome that you got her based in, you know, she hopefully will smell the roses and realize that just because you want something to work doesn't mean that it should, okay? So as I said before, I understand the essence of Olajuwon's message. The interpretation and the delivery of it was whack as hell. And I hope that Katina eventually realizes that she's kind of being made as a, a pseudo puppet in the situation. He's trying to mold you into the vision that he has in his mind, okay? And if that is not copacetic with what you want for yourself, Katina, you need to speak up and you need to let him know that it's not okay. And until you do that, he's going to keep running circles around you. Now on to Jasmina and Michael, y'all. Their event was that they went to go sit down with the medium. Now, listen, though I am saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Spirit, I don't have a problem with mediums or psychic or anything of the like. Intermediaries, they're all fine with me. In a world where we have people that are gifted with musical ability, people that are gifted with athletic ability, people who are able to discern financial information, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that there are people that are gifted with a higher plane of thinking, a higher vibration, a higher spiritual connection to the universe, the cosmos, and they're able to look at someone and discern some information just from that interaction. Now, my inner cynic tells me that the stuff that this lady was saying wasn't anything that you couldn't glean from a deep Google search, a background check, perhaps reviewing the historical or biographical information they have on each contestant down to the Married at First Sight office. But if we're led to believe that this lady came in here and did a completely cold reading of Jasmina and Michael, then her gift is intact, okay? And what she said actually holds some weight, okay? Like I said, it wasn't any new information for us as the viewer, but in terms of information that these people have in their heads that's been regurgitated back to them through this spiritual medium, I thought it was a good session in that respect, right? And it seemed to be more slated towards Michael than Jasmina. I mean, she did hit on some things for Jasmina where she said, if this doesn't work out between you and Michael, you'll be single for like a year and a half and he'll be single for 5 years. I don't know where she got that information from. To me, there's an element of pageantry to all these medium psychic readings because, baby, if every psychic and every medium was worth their salt, they'd all be rich. They'd all be able to tell you about the damn Powerball and Mega Millions number, and they'd be able to tell you about your future and when you finna die, what year, day, and time, okay? So like I said, there's an element of pageantry to it. So when she's telling Jasmina that you're going to be single for a year and a half and he's going to be single for 5 years, to me, that's a numbers game. Michael is kind of antisocial. So if he's single for 5 years, he already said his last relationship was a long time ago before he got into this Married at First Sight experiment. And as far as Jasmina, she's beautiful. Okay. I don't even think she'd be single for a year and a half. So to me, educated guess, or it could be a psychic reading on some That's So Raven stuff. I do not know. But I think that the real story of them sitting down with the medium is not really based in the connection they have to the medium or anything that she may have gleaned from them or said. It was more so in the unspoken things and also the feeling and the care that have kind of developed between Jasmina and Michael throughout this time, right? Even from when they were just about to go meet the medium, she was saying, I want to make sure that you're okay. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. Don't do this because you're just trying to make me happy. I want to make sure that, you feel comfortable in this situation. And while they were in the session, she was very, very close to him. You could tell that she was in a very supportive stance with him, and she wanted him to know that she was there for him no matter what he needed, okay? And I think that's a very, very great thing. And it's kind of amazing to see where they started to where they are now in terms of them being polar opposites, not really wanting to be involved with one another. That's kind of unfair. He always wanted to be involved with her. She was always on the fence. So the fact that they've developed this friendship, this closeness, that she actually cares, right, about his emotions, and she's trying to protect him based on information that she's told her, I think it's a wonderful step. Do I think that it's something that you can build a relationship off of? Perhaps in time. Do I think that in the next 2 weeks it can delve into romantic feelings? Perhaps, but I'm a realist in this sense, y'all. And like I've said before, I actually like Jasmina and Michael better as friends. If a relationship should develop in the future, wonderful. But if they only have walked away from the situation, knowing how to interact and communicate with someone different than you better, and also, being able to develop a new friendship and someone worthwhile that you want to hold that connection with going forward, I think it's a job well done. If you try to view it in the lens of the Married at First Sight experiment and trying to develop romantic feelings, I think you'll fail every time. But if you view it just in the sense of two people connecting and getting over communication issues that they once had, I think it's a success for all people involved. So good for y'all. Clearly she cares and she's developing a closeness. I don't know if it's something to base a romantic relationship off of, but we shall see. So I think that's all I really want to say on this episode, y'all. So if you liked what I said, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all social media at DadDamnDasher. And until next time, y'all, if you can dish it out, be able to take it. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.